Welcome back. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a quick sound. So what you can do is you can download this tool called Audacity, which is a free tool, and it allows you to, well, record audio and then edit audio very quickly. So simply install the tool. Once you downloaded it, it's available for different operating systems, as you can see here, for Mac, Linux, as well as Windows. So you can read through the license agreement and install it once you are happy with everything. And let's launch the tool. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my mouth in order to create a sound. So here I'm going to try to create a slicing sound with my mouth. So of course you could use a knife and you could try to use this kind of sound. I don't know if you can hear it, something like this. Actually, let me use that, even though it's not good for my knife. So let's press the record button. And before you do that, if you have multiple microphones, make sure that you use the best one or the one that you are using for the recording. So now let me test it here. And then also maybe with my mouth. And now I'm going to check out those sounds and see which one I like most. And then once I have decided which one I want to use. So here, for example, I actually like this sound. This one here is also quite good. Let me use this one. So you can zoom in. Let me stop it here. Let me zoom in. Oh, and then using the control key and the scroll wheel, and then use the selection tool here and cut away everything you don't need, like so. So you can cut it away using the delete key and then cut the excessive parts out as well. So everything that you don't need, get rid of it. And now go over to the recorded audio. So over here, and make sure that you cut off everything that is empty sound, so to speak. So here at the beginning you can see there is still a big part that doesn't do anything, and this would make a cause a very distorted sound, so to speak. So let me get rid of that as well and let me run it. So it sounds like, well, a knife cutting some iron or something like that. You don't hear it probably because I think I don't record my audio, but what I can do now is I can export this file. So export as WAV file, for example. That's always a good way. That's going to be the least compressed version of your audio, and that's fine if it's a super short file, right? I mean, it's like super short here. And then let me export it with a good sound or name here. I'm going to call this one slice sound, like so. Save it where you will find it. You can add additional metadata if you want, something like the artist name, the track title, album title, all of the good stuff. If you wanted to, I'm just going to use it as it is. No additional changes required here. And I can close this. You can even save it as a project if you wanted to. In my case, I'm not going to use it because I have the exported file now. And now I can use it because it's here, slicesound.wav. And now let me just drag it into my game. So here, opening up Unity, let's create a new folder because this one will be sounds, right? So let's create sounds and let's drag this wave audio in here. So now we have the slice sound. So now let's make this slice sound usable in our game. Therefore, we will need something called an audio source. Okay, so here you can search for audio source, like so. And now the game manager will be our audio source. The audio source will now need an audio clip. So you can drag the slice sound as the audio clip in here, and you can then change your settings. So you could mute that sound and unmute it at will using code, or you can play it on awake. For example, if you want to run this sound when the game starts, I'm going to deactivate that, because I think it's quite annoying, because each time you would start the game, you would hear the slice once. Then you can loop the sound. That's not a good idea for this sound. It's rather a good idea for, let's say, your background music. You can change the priority, maybe the volume down a little bit if it's too loud for you, but that's something you will notice once you test the audio source and the audio clip. So now let's go over to our game manager where we need to prepare the code to run this audio clip. Therefore, let's go ahead and create 2 new variables here. First of all, I'm going to create a new header, and these will be sound elements or sounds, maybe something like this. And here I can now go ahead and create a new audio clip like so. And because this could be multiple audio clips that I want to play in the future, for example, one could be the audio clip that I have for the knives. The other one could be an audio clip that I have for slicing the bombs, or you could have multiple different slice sounds also depending on, let's say, which kind of fruit you're slicing, or it's just a random sound that you're playing. But I'm just going to keep it simple for now. I'm just going to have one slice sound, which will be inside of this array, and I will always use the same slice sound. So that is our audio clip. But you also need to make sure that you have an audio source. So here I'm going to use private audio source, like so. I'm going to just call it audio source, the default name. And this one we will need to set up. So we will need to make sure that this audio source is not going to be empty. And a good spot to set it up would be, for example, in our start method or in the awake method, depending on how quickly we need it. Because we're not using it in any other start method, it's going to be fine to just set it up in the start method instead of in the awake method, but either way would be fine in this particular case. So here, let's set up the audio source, and we're going to do it using the get component audio source like so. And now we can use this audio source to play its clips. This will now use the audio source of the game manager itself. So this one here, this audio source that we added to our game manager game object. So now we just need a method that will play the sound, and let's add it in here. Public void play random slice sound is how I'm going to call this one. And what it should do is it should use an audio clip, which will be our random sound that we get from our slice sounds, because our slice sounds is an array, right? And we can just use a random range here. We've used this multiple times so far, so I believe you should be familiar with this. So here I'm just going to say get a random one out of the slice sounds that we have. As we're only going to have one, it's going to play the same sound all the time. And then we can use our audio source to play the sound. So there are different ways of playing it. Plays an audio clip and scales the audio source volume by volume scale. So this is going to be the play one shot, which will play it once with a certain setting, and that's the one that I want to use. Now you could of course just play it, that would be fine as well. You can play it delayed with a certain delay that you define, or even scheduled, where you schedule when it should run. But I'm just going to run it really quickly and say play one shot. That's it. And I need to pass which audio clip I want to play, and I'm just going to say I want to play the random sound. All right, so that is our play random slice sound. Let's save this script. And now in order to play it, we of course need to call this method. So what would be a good spot? Well, we could say once we increase the score would be a good spot. That would be the easiest way, but that wouldn't be really precise, because actually when we want to play it is once we slice the fruit. So we slice the fruit, well, we create a sliced fruit once we slice the fruit. So this would be actually a good spot to run it. So here, just before we increase the score, we could go ahead and use my GM to call the slice sound. So play random slice sound like so. So this will then play the slice sound. And now let's save this script also. Let's go back to Unity. And once we're back in Unity, let's make sure that we have defined slice sounds here. Okay, so otherwise our game will crash. So let's make sure we add a slice sound. I'm just going to use one audio clip here, and that will be out of my, let me set the lock here. And now I can use the sounds to drag it in here, the slice sound. So now let's run it. Let's see if this is going to work. And I can hear a slice sound. Actually, I believe that the slice sound that I have this time is a lot more like a slice sound that should come up once I hit the bomb instead of once I hit the fruits. So yeah, you can use my slice sound and you can try to create another sound for the bomb or whatever you want. So now, if you were to implement the bomb feature yourself, what you would need to do is you would need to make sure that you have another sound. That's one thing. And then inside of your game manager, you want to make sure that you have another audio clip here in the game manager set up. So you could call it something like bomb sound, for example. And then you would have to play it once you hit the bomb. So you could actually play it here on bomb hit, or you could play it in your bomb here, of course, using your game manager. So either way would be fine. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you can create your own sounds and you can optimize your game a little now.